Most gardeners believe you need a big, sunny yard to grow your own fruit, and for decades, that idea kept millions of people from ever trying. But what if the shady corner of your porch, the north-facing side of your house, or even a spot on your apartment balcony could produce fresh, sweet, homegrown fruit every single season? What if the trees that do it best are ones most people have never even considered planting? I am Timothy, and welcome to Evergreen Garden. Today we are counting down 9 fruit trees that genuinely thrive in partial shade, grow beautifully in containers, and are perfect for small spaces. Some of these will shock you. Number 6 especially surprised me when I first learned about it. Stick with us through the whole list because the last one might be the most useful tree you have never planted. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do that right now. We put out new content every week for people who want to grow more, live better, and get closer to nature, no matter how much space they have. Now let us get into the list. Number 9, the pawpaw tree. Here is something that most American gardeners do not know. The pawpaw is the largest fruit native to the United States, and it has been growing in the shaded forests of the eastern half of this country for thousands of years. Long before supermarkets, long before farms, this tree fed Native American communities from the Great Lakes down to the Gulf Coast. Lewis and Clark survived on pawpaws during their famous expedition. George Washington reportedly loved them so much he let them cool overnight before eating them. And yet somehow, this extraordinary tree almost disappeared from American food culture entirely. The reason pawpaws naturally grow in shade is fascinating. In the wild, young pawpaw trees grow beneath the canopy of taller hardwood forests, waiting for years before they ever see full sun. That means the tree is biologically wired to handle low light conditions. Modern research from universities in Kentucky and Ohio confirms that pawpaws not only tolerate shade, but actually benefit from it in their early years, producing more consistent fruit when protected from harsh afternoon sun. The fruit itself tastes like a cross between a banana, a mango, and vanilla custard. It is soft, sweet, and unlike anything else you can grow in a temperate garden. Pawpaws grow beautifully in USDA zones 5 through 8, which covers most of the eastern United States, including states like Ohio, Tennessee, Virginia, and the Carolinas. You will need 2 trees for cross-pollination, but both can be grown in large containers or planted in a shaded corner of your yard. They grow slowly and stay manageable in size, making them perfect for smaller properties. Think of the pawpaw as the forgotten treasure of the American forest, waiting quietly in the shade for someone to rediscover it. Number 8, the alpine strawberry tree. Now this one surprises people. Most folks think of strawberries as ground plants, but the alpine strawberry tree, also called arbutus unido, is a genuine fruiting tree that handles partial shade better than almost any other fruiting plant in this category. It has been cultivated in southern Europe and the Mediterranean for over 2,000 years. The ancient Greeks and Romans wrote about it extensively. In Spain and Portugal, it is still used to make a traditional brandy called medronho. For most of American history, this tree was virtually unknown outside of botanical gardens and specialty nurseries. What makes it special for shade gardeners is its incredible adaptability. Research from European horticulture programs has shown that alpine strawberry trees actually produce more even, consistent fruit crops when they are not exposed to intense direct sunlight all day. The fruit, which looks like a small red raspberry or lychee, ripens slowly over months, giving you a nearly continuous harvest from late summer well into winter. In the United States, this tree thrives in USDA zones 7 through 10, making it a wonderful option for gardeners in California, Texas, Florida, and the Pacific Northwest. It stays compact, rarely growing taller than 10 feet, and it does beautifully in large decorative pots on a shaded patio or porch. The flowers are small white bells that look almost like lily of the valley, and they appear at the same time as the ripe fruit, giving you both beauty and harvest simultaneously. Think of the alpine strawberry tree as a year-round gift that keeps giving, even in the shadows where most trees would give up. Number 7, the Morello cherry tree. Not all cherries are created equal, and if you have tried to grow sweet cherries in a shaded spot and failed, the Morello cherry is the answer you've been looking for. This dark, sour cherry variety has deep roots in European culinary history. German home cooks have used Morello cherries for centuries to make black forest cake, preserves, and cherry wine. Before refrigeration, these cherries were considered essential pantry crops because they preserved so easily. Early American settlers brought them over and planted them along the shaded edges of homesteads and orchards, exactly where sweet cherries would have struggled. The science behind why Morello cherries tolerate shade comes down to their genetics. They evolved in cooler, cloudier climates in northern and central Europe, which means their photosynthesis is efficient even in low-light conditions. Studies from UK horticulture research stations have confirmed that Morello cherry trees maintain strong fruiting even when they receive as little as 3 to 4 hours of direct sun per day. That is a remarkable number for a fruit-producing tree. Morello cherries grow well across USDA zones 4 through 9, making them one of the most cold-hardy options on this list. They are a great choice for gardeners in Michigan, Wisconsin, upstate New York, and the northern plain states where other fruit trees often struggle. They grow on a compact, spreading form that works well in containers and can be trained flat against a shaded wall or fence using a technique called fan training, which saves space and increases fruit production beautifully. Think of the Morello cherry as the hard-working, no-nonsense cousin of the sweet cherry, perfectly happy doing the job in conditions others refuse. Number 6. The fig tree. I know what you were thinking. Figs love the sun, and you are right that figs can absolutely thrive in full sun. But here is what most gardeners do not realize. Fig trees are extraordinarily adaptable, and many varieties produce perfectly well in partial shade, especially in the hotter regions of the country, where afternoon shade actually protects the fruit from sun scald and drying out. In the Middle East and the Mediterranean, figs were grown beneath the shade of larger trees and on the cool sides of walls for thousands of years. Ancient Romans considered the fig a sacred tree of abundance and protection. Modern research from the University of California confirms something that Old World farmers already knew intuitively. In regions with intense summer heat, figs grown with afternoon shade protection often produce juicier, sweeter fruit than those grown in direct sun all day. The shade slows the ripening process just enough to concentrate the sugars more evenly. Fig trees grow in USDA zones 6 through 11, and certain cold-hardy varieties, like Chicago Hardy, can even survive in Zone 5 with some winter protection. For container growers, figs are practically ideal. Their roots naturally restrict in pots, which actually encourages fruiting. A large pot on a partially shaded balcony or patio can produce dozens of figs per season. They go dormant in winter, so you can move them into a garage or shed to protect them, then bring them back out in spring. Few fruit trees are this forgiving and this rewarding in a small space. Think of the fig tree as the ancient survivor, flexible enough to thrive wherever you put it, generous enough to feed you no matter what. And speaking of trees that surprise you, number 5 is one that most people in the United States have growing right now in their neighborhood, but have never thought to plant for fruit. Keep watching. Number 5. The serviceberry tree, also called Juneberry or Saskatoon. Walk through any shaded park or woodland edge in the eastern or northern United States in late spring, and you may see this tree without even knowing it. The serviceberry, known in different regions as Juneberry, Shadbush, or Saskatoon, is one of the most underappreciated fruiting trees in North American history. Native American tribes across the continent, from the Ojibwe in the Great Lakes to the Blackfoot on the Great Plains, used serviceberries as a primary food source. The fruit was dried, mixed with fat and meat to make pemmican, and carried on long journeys as a portable, high-energy food. Early European settlers learned from indigenous communities and relied on serviceberries heavily before they could establish orchards. What makes the serviceberry extraordinary for shade gardeners is that it naturally grows at the edge of forests, in the dappled light beneath taller trees. That is its native habitat. It does not just tolerate shade, it prefers it in many climates, and it blooms earlier than almost any other fruiting tree, producing white flowers in March or April before most trees even have leaves, followed by sweet blue-purple berries in late spring or early summer. Serviceberries grow in USDA zones 2 through 9, which gives them one of the widest cold hardiness ranges of any fruiting tree. They do well across almost the entire continental United States. In container gardens, they stay a very manageable size, often between 6 and 15 feet depending on the variety, and dwarf cultivars exist that stay even smaller. The berries taste like a mild blueberry with a hint of almond and work beautifully in pies, jams, and fresh eating. Think of the serviceberry as the tree that has always been there, feeding America long before we thought to ask it to. Number 4. The dwarf mulberry tree. The mulberry has one of the most dramatic histories of any fruit tree in the world. For over 4,000 years, white mulberry trees were the backbone of the Chinese silk industry, because silkworms feed exclusively on mulberry leaves. When European powers tried to establish silk production in the American colonies, they planted mulberry trees across Virginia and the Carolinas in the 1600s. The silk industry never quite took hold here, but the trees stayed and naturalized across much of the eastern United States. Today, mulberry trees grow wild in backyards, along roadsides, and in parks from Maine to Texas. Most people either ignore them or consider them a nuisance. That is a mistake. Mulberries are one of the most shade-tolerant fruiting trees you can grow, and modern dwarf varieties bred specifically for container gardening and small spaces have turned this ancient tree into a backyard superstar. Research published in nutritional journals has found that mulberries contain high levels of resveratrol, the same antioxidant compound found in red grapes, along with significant amounts of vitamin C and iron. Pound for pound, they rival blueberries in antioxidant content. Dwarf mulberries grow in USDA zones 5 through 10, making them viable for most of the country. Container-grown dwarf varieties like dwarf everbearing or Illinois everbearing can produce fruit within the first or second year of planting, which is remarkable for a tree. They handle partial shade very well and produce long, sweet berries from late spring through summer in extended, rolling harvests. If you have a shaded patio, a north-facing fence, or a balcony, a dwarf mulberry in a large pot is one of the most productive things you can grow. Think of the dwarf mulberry as the tree that worked for emperors and farmers alike, now perfectly scaled down for your porch. Number 3. The gooseberry bush tree. Technically, the gooseberry grows more as a large bush than a traditional tree, but trained on a standard rootstock, it takes on a classic tree form and behaves beautifully as a container plant, which is why it belongs on this list. Gooseberries have a long and beloved history in the northern United States and in Britain, where entire festivals and competitions were once held to grow the largest gooseberry on record. In 19th century New England and the upper Midwest, gooseberries were a staple garden crop, prized for pies, preserves, and the tangy, sweet, tart, fresh fruit that children ate straight off the bush. Gooseberries are built for shade. They naturally grow at the shaded edges of woodlands and hedgerows across northern Europe and Asia, and they struggle in the intense heat of full afternoon sun in much of the American South and Midwest. Several university extension programs, including those at Cornell and Michigan State, specifically recommend gooseberries for north-facing walls, shaded side yards, and spots that receive only 3 to 5 hours of direct sun per day. In those conditions, the fruit stays plump, juicy, and tart rather than shriveling in the heat. In the United States, gooseberries grow well in USDA zones 3 through 8, making them outstanding for gardeners in the northern states, New England, and the Pacific Northwest. When trained as a standard tree in a pot, they stay compact and easy to manage, usually reaching 3 to 4 feet in height. The berries are ready in early to mid-summer and come in colors ranging from pale green and yellow to deep red and almost purple, depending on the variety. Think of the gooseberry tree as the underdog of the fruit garden, quietly producing in the shade while flashier plants struggle in the sun. Number 2. The Japanese persimmon tree. The persimmon is one of the oldest cultivated fruits in human history. In China, persimmon trees have been recorded in literature and artwork going back at least 2,000 years. In Japan, the persimmon holds deep cultural significance as a symbol of autumn and good fortune. When American soldiers returned home from World War II, many brought back a deep appreciation for the persimmon they had encountered in Japan and Korea, and interest in growing them in the United States has grown steadily ever since. What most American gardeners do not know is that Japanese persimmons, particularly the non-astringent varieties like fuyu, handle partial shade with remarkable grace. Research from university extension programs in California and Georgia, two of the leading persimmon-growing states, shows that fuyu persimmons grown with afternoon shade protection in warmer climates often produce fruit with better color, texture, and flavor than those grown in relentless full sun. The shade slows the ripening and lets the sugars develop more fully. Japanese persimmons grow in USDA zones 7 through 10, making them a wonderful choice for gardeners across the South, the Pacific Coast, and the warmer parts of the Southwest. In colder parts of the country, American persimmon varieties like Meyer or Proc are much hardier and can survive in zones 4 through 9 with similar shade tolerance. Both types grow well in large containers and stay at a manageable size when their roots are restricted in a pot. The fruit, which looks like an orange tomato, ripens in fall and tastes sweet and rich, almost like brown sugar and apricot combined. Think of the persimmon as autumn in a pot, a slow, patient tree that rewards you with something extraordinary when the rest of the garden has gone quiet. And now, number 1. The alpine or dwarf lemon tree. Here is the one that surprises nearly everyone. Citrus loves sun, right? For the most part, yes. But the alpine and dwarf lemon varieties, particularly improved Meyer lemon, have a biological quirk that sets them apart from every other citrus tree. Meyer lemons are a natural hybrid between a regular lemon and a mandarin orange, which gives them a thicker, softer rind and a slightly sweeter flavor than grocery store lemons. More importantly, that hybrid genetics makes them dramatically more tolerant of lower light conditions than any standard citrus variety. In the 1960s and 70s, Meyer lemon trees became enormously popular as indoor houseplants in the United States, grown in pots near windows that received only a few hours of direct light per day. They fruited reliably in those conditions, which shocked botanists and home gardeners alike. Today, university horticulture programs in Florida and California specifically list improved Meyer lemon as one of the best container citrus options for partial shade environments, patios with filtered light, and indoor growing in colder climates. Meyer lemons grow outdoors in USDA zones 8 through 11, covering Florida, coastal California, Texas, and the Gulf Coast states. But here is what makes this tree truly extraordinary for every single person watching, regardless of where they live. Because Meyer lemons thrive in containers and handle low light so well, gardeners in cold weather states like Minnesota, Michigan, and New York can grow them indoors near a bright window or under a basic grow light, bring them outside to a shaded patio in summer, and harvest fresh lemons nearly year-round. There is almost no other fruit tree that gives you that kind of flexibility. The practical uses are endless. Fresh lemons for tea, cooking, baking, and homemade lemonade, all from a tree sitting in the corner of your living room or on a shaded back porch. It is productive, beautiful, fragrant, and endlessly useful. Think of the Meyer lemon tree as the fruit tree that refuses to be limited by your climate, your space, or your amount of sunshine. It will find a way to give you fruit wherever you put it. So there you have it, 9 incredible fruit trees that thrive in shade, grow happily in pots and small spaces, and can produce real, meaningful harvests for you and your family, no matter the size of your garden. From the forgotten pawpaw to the surprising Meyer lemon, the shade in your yard is not a problem. It is an opportunity. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 9 trees are you most excited to try? Drop your answer in the comments below. Are you on Team Pawpaw, Team Meyer lemon, or Team Mulberry? Let us know and let's start a conversation. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with a friend who loves gardening. The more people who know about these trees, the better. Until next time, keep growing and keep thriving. This is Timothy, and we will see you in the next one.